Warning, I say a lot of bad words. Not your man.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up and prepare to be shocked and amazed as Barnabas the Bizarre welcomes you to the Nacho Man YouTube channel. Woo-hoo!
What made you get into wrestling?
So I have absolutely loved the art form known as professional wrestling ever since I was a wee little lad. And growing up in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York, you would think my first exposure to professional wrestling would be through the World Wrestling Federation, but no, it was not. It was from watching every Saturday morning with my grandmother world-class championship wrestling out of Dallas, Texas, the Fort Worth area, and specifically the rivalry between the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. Heavily featured within the film, The Iron Claw captured the imagination of old Barnabas, but what kept me around was the cast of colorful characters that WCCW would present each and every week on their programming. Characters like Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody, The Missing Link, Gino Hernandez, Chris Adams, and the list goes on. But also, and to this day, individuals that I look to for inspiration. The amazing managerial minds that also work throughout world class. People like Gary Hart, Percy Pringle III, who would later become Paul Bearer, General Skandar Akbar, even the old Mr. Tennis Racket, the Louisville Slugger himself, Jim Cornette. They all spent time in world-class championship wrestling, and they have all, to this day, had a very heavy influence on the career and the legacy of the purveyor of peculiar, Barnabas the Bizarre.
So what else inspires your gimmick then, besides those managers?
Throughout my entire life, I have had a fascination with the odd, the different, and the strange. From watching Ripley's Believe It or Not, featuring the voice of Jack Palance, there was an eerie creepiness about that program where they would dive into the abnormalities of the world. And it's something that stayed with me all these years later. Programming like Tales from the Dark Side or The Twilight Zone also further caused the gears of my mind to turn. So Robert E. Ripley or P.T. Barnum, these are the individuals that I draw heavy inspiration from, as well as musical influences from film. They all combine to present an individual that stands before you now. You see, even though Barnabas the Bizarre within the land of lunacy in JCW seems like a colorful, over-the-top characterization, the truth is, I'm more myself, like this, than at any other time, because Barnabas is me, dialed all the way up. There's so much reality that spews and courses through these veins that I share with you all as we travel across the country and around the globe, bringing my undead attraction, the Outbreak, to rings across this great land.
That's pretty cool. So, how'd you become a manager then?
So I originally started my journey into professional wrestling wanting to be a wrestler. And I think most of us, that's our dream, our lifelong goal. Growing up, watching the giants of the ring, individuals like Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, for a long time, I thought it wasn't possible. I thought you had to be this giant, muscular individual to have success within the wrestling profession. And then someone came along, called and named Bret the Hitman Hart. The excellence of execution. Same height as yours truly, similar build. When I saw him, especially when Bret captured the World Wrestling Federation Championship, it convinced me that perhaps, maybe, just maybe, I had a chance of making it. So many, many years ago, in Schenectady, New York, I trained the school that at that point was called World of Hurt Wrestling. There is currently a modern version of that same promotion in existence, ran by another wrestling manager, Kenny Casanova. I started off training as a wrestler. And because of injury and because of my own self-doubts and perhaps even a little bit of my own self-sabotage, I had a lot of stutter starts and stops within the business. I would come in, I would start training, I would work a little bit, and then I would step away. The number of years went by, and I thought that I had put the professional wrestling business behind me. And I actually got into doing ringside photography and video work. Other individuals of note that have done ringside photography, Jim Cornette and Paul Lee Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman. So by virtue of doing ringside photography, unbeknownst to me, I was networking. I was meeting people. I was in and out of locker rooms. I was becoming familiar once again with the wrestling industry as a whole. And the thing that I saw was there was a vast sea of young, hungry talent, athletically gifted beyond belief. But when it came to actually being able to speak, they were terrified. And quite frankly, with them being so young, they were easy prey for older, more manipulative veterans that wanted to pull cardy tactics. That was the deciding factor. And Barnabas actually wanting to no longer be a photographer, no longer wanting to do video work, but wanting to do essentially what I was put on this planet to do. And that is to entertain. So I knew at this point in my life, trying to be a full-time wrestler, probably not the wisest decision. But maybe I could wrestle every once in a while. And I do. But my forte is using my managerial mind. My ability to speak, my ability to present, my ability to entertain. And now I have an opportunity to do that with one of the fastest rising promotions and one of the hottest promotions anywhere on the planet right now, Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
What was your wrestling name when you were wrestling? Was it the same name or was it different?
So I used the name The Demo Man, short for the Demolition Man. And it was very sporadic, my friend, in regards to what I would do. And I have searched high and low for footage, and it is sparse to say the very least, because quite frankly, I didn't accomplish a lot as a wrestler. When I first got into the business on the managerial side, the full character name was David Barnabas Spector, the leader, if you will. And that was one version of what I do. And as time has progressed, there has been a constant evolution to what I do and the role that I play, the character that I present to the world. Over time, it went from this dark gothic character to almost more of a circus ringmaster. And now I'm in a whole different realm with what I do. There's a little ringmaster. There's a whole lot of carny. There's definitely some sprinkle of darkness within. My love and fascination for the oddities, the abnormalities of the world, all of it has come together to allow me to present a modernized version of the classic professional wrestling manager. And yours truly has had no better compliments from fans or fellow workers within the industry alike when they tell me that I remind them of the great managerial minds of the past. That is the ultimate compliment, because that is what I envision. That is what I grew up watching. That is what I have always wanted to be. You could take Barnabas the Bizarre and you could put me into 1985 WWF. You could put me into Memphis. You could put me anywhere on the globe and I would succeed. Because characters like this, as much as I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, they're timeless. Timeless Tony Storm? Maybe. But a timeless character nonetheless. And characters are inevitably what most wrestling fans long for and they fondly remember. When you ask fans, especially lapsed fans, what they enjoy, do they like wrestling? What is it that they miss? They don't care about Meltzer 5-star matches. They bring up the characters that made them feel when they were a kid. The larger-than-life personalities, the vibrant colors, the crazy antics and promos. Those are the things they remember. And that's exactly what yours truly tries to present to the wrestling landscape today.
Have you ever wanted to be like a color commentator? I feel like you would be a good color commentator.
I appreciate the compliment, Nacho Man. I would actually enjoy doing commentary somewhere down the line. I have done guest commentary in the past, and I have always enjoyed it. I do enjoy the thought of being in control of helping to tell stories for an entire roster of talent. My entire goal with my managerial work is to help enhance, to be the catalyst that makes everyone want to absolutely, without fail, watch and enjoy Jacksyn and Abel, the undead attraction, the Outbreak. And I would love to take those same sensibilities, that same skill set, and to be able to utilize it for an entire roster of talent by helping to weave and tell the story of the match, of the talent, and helping to elevate an entire brand.
How'd you end up in Memphis wrestling?
So Memphis wrestling, I have long been a fan of the Memphis territory. As a matter of fact, Nacho Man, as I have told you this before, long before you started reporting on JCW, I was privy to your videos, a fan of your videos, because you would more often than not feature some of the more outlandish characters from the rich history of the Memphis wrestling territory. And I loved it. And you do an amazing job, my friend. But when it comes
Thank
to
you.
Memphis wrestling, I had an opportunity to take my act at the time, which at that point was called the Circus. And I had a strong man, Maurice the Strong. And we debuted in their Grind City Rumble a number of years ago. We made an immediate impact. And then we started to build. Things happened. Unfortunately, Maurice ended up suffering a torn ACL. And for a while, old Barnabas was kind of in limbo. But then I started to have opportunities to get back onto television, to be able to expand the character and show it to all the Mizarks of Memphis. Eventually, Maurice returned. And then something that I had lobbied for quite some time was finally realized. You see, there was a team in that specific area called the Twins of Salem that I had a keen eye on because they were rather unique and devilishly bizarre. From their movements to their mannerisms, their facial expressions, and especially their arsenal and repertoire within that squared circle. And when I saw them, I knew I need to work with those gentlemen. And eventually, we would all work together in an expanded version of the circus. And while in Memphis, inevitably, we had an occasion where we did a joint venture with JCW. And the one and only Duke of the Wicked, Violent J, made his way all the way down to Memphis. And he saw yours truly, and he saw Jacksyn and Abel. And he knew instantly that he saw characters. He saw success. He saw something special. He saw performers, entertainers, professionals that would add something new, something unique, something different to the land of lunacy of JCW. But Memphis is one of my absolute favorite territories to work. Memphis Wrestling, Dustin Starr, who runs the promotion, is still to this day, a valuable asset to the wrestling industry. They have local TV in the Memphis market. They also can be seen across the country. But it was an important place for Barnabas to take part. It taught me the proper way to work television. And as you know, Nacho Man, the Memphis territory has always thrived on the heel manager, dating back to the days of the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and the Hart family dynasty that was there, that ran for years and years, the rivalry against Jerry the King Lawler, the involvement of Andy Kaufman, all the different cast of characters that weaved in and out of that long-term story, and all the different talents that was born from that particular angle. People like Paul Ellering, Jim Cornette, Sherry Martel, just to name a few. So they've always thrived on a heel manager persona. And the thing is that every territory throughout the world, especially the United States, different pockets of the country are conditioned to accept different forms of pro wrestling. Like Detroit is still very heavily influenced by the original Chic, so that's the style that they enjoy. In New York, it was certainly the land of the giants, the big man, so people like Bruno and Superstar Billy Graham and Andre, that heavily influenced that for years. The Carolinas, obviously, was Jim Crockett Promotions, so the Four Horsemen and Dusty Rhodes definitely heavily influenced there. In Portland, it was people like Roddy Piper, who would have a heavy influence on Matt Bourne on the specific style there. But within Memphis, when it came to understanding how to promote and book and appreciate a manager, it was the perfect spot for old Barnabas the Bizarre to fully realize his potential and to create some rather memorable moments on television. I was able to share a rather unique segment with Prince Nana from AEW on Memphis Wrestling Television. That's a moment that I cherish. It is an incredibly fun segment. And Memphis, I always hold near and dear to my heart. But now our new home is Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And boy, oh boy, have we been able to expand our vision and landscape when it comes to the professional wrestling industry there.
I didn't know you did a segment with Prince Nana. I gotta check that out later. But what do you?
It involves a giant rubber chicken, and I'll leave it at that.
Really?
Yes.
What do you think about modern wrestling compared to like when you first started watching wrestling?
So modern day pro wrestling it has its good points and it certainly has its differences. And at this point, Nacho Man, the professional wrestling industry is much like the music industry. And the reason why I say that is this, because within music, you have genres, you have subgenres of genres, you have this kaleidoscope of different content that's available. Basically, to satiate whatever your listening pleasure is, you more than likely can find something, some variation of it that will soothe your soul. This is how pro wrestling is today. We have so many different styles, so many different tastes that are available to each and every fan out there. That is every style my cup of tea? No. But does some of it still intrigue me, still entertain me, still excite me? Absolutely. But there is a little something for everyone across the board when it comes to modern day pro wrestling. Now, I will say that one thing about the modern day product that perhaps I'm not the biggest fan of is, and I know a lot of veterans have said the same thing, but I do believe that it's incredibly important and worth repeating, is the art of the sell. When wrestling got away from selling maneuvers, selling the devastation of a finishing move, the grimace on the face, the connection with the audience, giving the crowd an opportunity to actually digest and absorb what they just witnessed, felt, and saw, when it became a game of trying to rush from one choreographed spot to the next, some of the magic of the art form of pro wrestling has been lost. Now, there are certain individuals that still work kind of an old school style. But again, everything evolves with time. And even if it's not specifically my personal favorite, I'm not the only one that's out there, my friend. There are so many individuals out there, from workers to fans alike. And as long as a whole in the industry, we continue to produce content that people love and enjoy, then we will all continue to be in business. But with all that being said, this is the reason why I absolutely love Juggalo Championship Wrestling, because we appeal to the old school wrestling fan, because we give you a little bit of everything, plus we still have characters, we still have wild stories, we give you more to get excited about, we provide more for you to be invested in, for you to be emotionally invested, to give you a reason to tune into the next week. We try to do long-term storytelling so that it's not just immediate and we're not just looking to rush things and hotshot things all the time. And our cast of characters, I mean, we have perhaps the most eclectic roster of any company on the planet today. And I've had so many individuals that have come up to me to tell me, hey, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, but I started watching JCW Lunacy and I love it. There's two individuals, they're actually twin guitar players in a band called V Twin Sin in the Cincinnati area where I'm currently located. They haven't watched wrestling in years, but they started watching JCW Lunacy and they absolutely love it. And anytime I see them, that's all I want to talk about. And that makes me feel good because it lets me know that we are satiating the longing that longtime wrestling fans have craved. We're giving them something that, quite frankly, they're not getting anyplace else. So, my opinion of modern day wrestling, some of it's great, some of it's not. As a whole, though, as long as the business continues to thrive and we all have an opportunity to work and ply our trade and to create our art, then even if it's a style that I'm not a big fan of, please, to all the different performers out there, more power to you.
Speaking of that, what do you think about Vince Russo and Vito joining JCW?
So, Vince Russo has absolutely changed the game. He, for the longest time, obviously was not involved in the professional wrestling business. He would talk about the business in his podcast, but he hadn't been involved. He didn't have any skin in the game for a number of years, essentially ever since he left Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. But Vince knows how to get attention. He knows how to write stories. He knows how to advance the talent. He knows how to get eyes on everything that we do. And ever since Vince has come into the land of lunacy, our numbers have increased. Our opportunities to be seen by more fans internationally has increased. Attendance at our shows has increased. And for yours truly, a huge benefit of Mr. Russo now being involved is the fact that prior, most of my talking was doing the elaborate intro for the Outbreak. Now, I actually get to be involved in several pre-tapes, where you get to see different sides of Barnabas the Bizarre. And in being a talker, there's no greater gift than being put into different scenarios where you can test yourself, where you can push the limits of your specific character or brand. Mr. Russo has made that all possible. Now, when it comes to Vito, on screen, Vito has been a colossal thorn in the side of Barnabas the Bizarre and the Outbreak. And our story, our dance, is far from over. Behind the scenes, Vito is a good guy. He's a hard worker. And to think at this age, which I won't give away his age here in this particular interview, but he's a mature fella. So to see him operating and performing at this high level at this point in his career is absolutely mind-blowing. He's still great in the ring. He's fantastic on the mic. The opportunities that I have had to be involved with pre-tapes with him have upped my game. And in all reality, he has given me the Vito rub. But Vito, his dastardly deeds and everything that he's done to Jacksyn and Abel and yours truly, we got a lot more story to tell, and he's got a whole lot more sins to pay for.
Could you see David Arquette coming to JCW too?
Yes. Yes, I can. And to pull back the curtain, Nacho Man, just the boys will be boys, and especially when we're on the road and we're traveling for several thousand miles, we talk about everything. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that just amongst the boys, the topic of David Arquette has definitely come up. I personally would love if David Arquette somehow got involved with JCW. I still to this day feel like he got a bad rap for what happened in WCW. It's not like he booked himself to win the championship. And the fact that he donated his purse to charity, especially including the widow of Brian Pillman, it's hard not to like David Arquette. So I would welcome him to come. And I know just recently he worked in a battle royale for a promotion. I believe it's ACW in Poughkeepsie, New York. This was very recent. So he's in ring shape. So we shall see, my friend. But I would welcome David Arquette into the land of lunacy with open arms.
How was it going on tour with JCW?
It is an experience of a lifetime. Being on the road with Juggalo Championship Wrestling, legitimately, Nacho Man, I was on the brink of winding down my wrestling career. I had been chasing opportunity for several years, and I had gotten to the point where I felt like it just wasn't going to happen for me. I saw people that I had come up with around the same time, and they were getting opportunities, and I was happy for them. But I was distraught, and I was frustrated and discouraged. And I had gotten to a point where I just felt like I cannot continue to dedicate this kind of time, effort, energy to put these thousands upon thousands of miles on the road. I can't do this forever. So I was prepared to wind it down. And then I got the call. And the next thing I know, yours truly, Jacksyn and Abel, we are on the road with JCW. And shortly after, we're essentially full-time roster members. And we have had an opportunity to literally go all across the country. In the course of a month, we went from appearing in California to New York and a whole lot of spots in between. We've got to see some pretty cool things. We've had some amazing experiences. The audiences and the crowds that we've been able to work in front of have been absolutely incredible. Recently, we just worked events in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What an amazing crowd to work in front of. So passionate, so crazy, so wild. These are the things that dreams are made of. You know, most of us that work within the independent wrestling scene, we work in front of crowds of maybe a few hundred fans. If we're lucky, maybe once or twice a year, we work in front of a couple thousand. But when you're on the road with JCW, specifically, if we're opening up for the Insane Clown Posse, we're talking thousands upon thousands of rabid juggalos and juggalettes. And even though a lot of them are there to see ICP, they show so much passion and support for everything that we do with JCW. It's absolutely incredible. And it's the juggalos and juggalettes get such a bad rap. I think that there's preconceived notion about what these people are like and who they are and what they represent. But the Juggalos are some of the most passionate, loyal fans that you could ever have. And they are so amazing and supportive for all of us at JCW. I've had fans message me directly, sending me words of encouragement, telling me how much they love the act, they love the Outbreak, they love Barnabas. It's things like that that keep all of us going because, as I'm sure you're aware, when you're on the road constantly, and pro wrestling itself is a volatile business to be in. There's plenty of ups and downs, sometimes more downs than ups. We deal with so much from money to carniness, politics, etc., that those kind of words shared with us by the fans, the people that really matter, it means a lot. And that's what keeps us going. But being on the road with JCW there is literally nothing like it. Our roster is incredible. Our locker room is amazing. It is the least politicking carny locker room I have ever been a part of. The best way that I can describe it, Nacho Man, is it reminds me in so many ways of how ECW was back in the day. And I don't mean the WWE version. I mean the real deal, original Extreme Championship Wrestling, in the way that whole roster worked together to elevate the brand and to push the brand forward. They wanted ECW to succeed. They wanted ECW to be its own brand and to make it to pay-per-view and the whole nine. That's how we all are at JCW. We want every one of us to succeed. We want each other to be successful. We want to push the brand forward because if we're going to make it, to national television, if we're going to make it so that we can be seen by a worldwide audience, ideally in a perfect world, we would love to do that representing Juggalo Championship Wrestling because the brand from Violet J to Russo and everybody in between, there is literally nothing like it.
Did you have fun at the gathering of the Juggalos?
I did, but admittingly, Nacho Man, I didn't spend a ton of time at the gathering. I came in because of other obligations, and I worked a JCW event, basically like a pre-opening event we did on a Tuesday night. And then I came back Friday night, which was the last day of the 2-day war with GCW, and I worked that, and I experienced a little bit of the gathering. And it's probably a good thing that I wasn't there for too long because, my friend, I could already tell from the little bit that I spent time there, old Barnabas would have gotten into all kinds of mischief and all kinds of trouble.
Is Bizircus still with the Outbreak?
He is not. He is someone that we brought in, and he had an opportunity to be on the road with us for a handful of shows. And he is a tremendous human being, and he was quite the spectacle. But Bizircus is, out amongst the world, perhaps even a little too much of an oddity, even for the purveyor of peculiar. Maybe you'll see him again one day, but as it stands right now, Barnabas the Bizarre only represents Jacksyn and Abel, the Outbreak.
How'd you guys come up with like the black mist? They use unlike the opponents. That's I really like that part of you guys with the Outbreak.
So the mist was legitimately an idea from the one and only Violent J. He felt that the Outbreak needed something different. They needed something unique. And obviously, there have been a number of great performers over the years that have used the mist, but I don't know if we've ever seen a double mist before. And it was his idea to do the double mist. I may have made a suggestion about it being black because I felt like that was a little something different, and he agreed and he liked it. And we filmed a series of vignettes to introduce the double death mist. And the interesting part of that, Nacho Man, is it all came about through happenstance. We were prepared to go on another tour into the Carolinas with JCW, and I unfortunately suffered a detached retina in my right eye, which sidelined me for a little time. I wasn't able to travel to higher elevations, so I was basically confined to staying at home and staying put. But upon different conversations with Violent J, and we conjured the idea of the double death mist, then I went and created the concept and the idea of going on a grand expedition in search of the double death mist, which we tied into, if you can see it back there, the dreaded Necronomicon, and hinted at there being a connection between Jacksyn and Abel and JCW's original Evil Dead. We were able to tie that all together, but the reality is, if it wasn't for my issues with my eye, we wouldn't have filmed any of that content. And ultimately, I'm very proud of that content because it was something unique and different, odd and strange. And when we debuted the Double Death Mist in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the rave, it was against perhaps our two most favorite JCW stars in Cocaine and Stephen Flow. And they have always been a joy to travel with, to share a locker room with, and to work with in the ring. And unfortunately that night, our friend Stephen Flow was the first victim of the Double Death Mist, resulting in a 1-2-3, followed by yours truly administering the one and only antidote.
How'd you learn how to cut promos how'd you learn how to do those vignettes like that?
So promos is a natural ability to talk and to entertain. I went to school for radio broadcasting and TV field production, so that is my background, but I have been training my voice ever since I was a little boy. Nacho Man, when I was a kid, because I was such a wrestling nerd, I used to have a little tape recorder, and I would literally read wrestling magazines, the old After Mags or WWF magazine, and I would read the articles and I would pretend like I was a wrestling announcer. So unbeknownst to me as a kid, I was training my voice. Then, of course, I did radio broadcasting and I further sharpened my voice. But in regards to the promo and being able to speak fluently and being able to articulate and entertain, so much of this is practice and repetition, repetition, repetition. The same thing that applies to a pro wrestler inside that ring. You have to get your reps in. You have to practice, practice, practice at home, in the ring, in front of a live audience. The same applies for promos. And I talk to so many people, young and old alike, within the wrestling business who struggle with their promo. And many of them don't practice promos. And to me, that's crazy. Because how easy is it to turn your phone camera on yourself and just practice? Nobody has to see it. Nobody has to see your thumbnail sketches. But the only way that you're going to improve and get better is you have to keep doing it over and over again. But not just doing it. Eventually, you have to get to a point where when you're cutting a promo and you record yourself and you watch it back, then you start to look at the finite details. Okay, how can I condense this? Less is more, much like a wrestling match. How can I accentuate certain words? How can I use body language, facial expressions? How can I put an emphasis here? How can I really put over my opponent but still show that I can't stand them? There's all these nuances, but so much of it is just practice, practice, practice. And then, what was the second part of your question, Nacho Man?
How'd you learn how to make your videos, your vignettes and stuff like that?
Yes, that's correct. So when I edit my promos, because that's all something that I do myself, it's not outsourced. There's no one else that does that for me. A lot of that was a skill set that I developed while I was doing the photography and video work before I got back into the business fully, because I would edit videos and I would do promotional content for different companies, even including Impact Wrestling at one point in time, at least small localized market stuff. So I learned how to create interesting video content and promos. Then I started to get into utilizing a green screen, and that took things to a completely different level. But it's like anything else when it comes to creating art. Like, I can list off or rattle off different applications, different computer programs that I utilize, but art is in the eye of the beholder. So I can show you the mechanics, I can divulge the tools that I use, but the way that you see things or the way that you would put something together is completely different from the way that I would. There's only one Barnabas the Bizarre Brain. And I utilize that to be the most creative version of myself possible. And it's interesting that you bring this up, Nacho Man, because for a little while now, I haven't been producing as many pre-tape promos and videos just myself, not at JCW shows, like I used to, because that used to be a staple of the way that I used to present my character and persona really before my JCW days. And it's something that I've wanted to get back into. So, serendipitous in nature, I think you bringing this up today is further encouraging me to go ahead and produce more unique content to put it out to the world, because quite frankly, my audience now is far more vast than it used to be. As far more people are aware of who Barnabas and the Outbreak are now than perhaps ever before. So if there was a time to strike, if there was a time to show everyone exactly what we can do, it's probably right now.
Who's some of your favorite guys you got to manage besides the Outbreak?
Oh, let's see. So here's an interesting factoid for you. The very first person that I managed was none other than All Ego Ethan Page. I actually was a part of it was a charity event called Warriors for Wrestling, where they would hold shows. We would visit hospitals beforehand to visit sick children, a lot of them being cancer patients. And then all proceeds from the shows would go towards charity. So on this particular event, they were doing a raffle where you would, or I should say, you could bid. You could bid on becoming a manager for a night for that particular event's main event, which was Rhino versus Ethan Page. And I happened to be the individual that bid on being the managerial mind for Ethan Page. And I won. And I got an opportunity to go to the ring with Ethan Page, and Ethan was amazing. He was absolutely professional, and it was fun doing a little something with him. And I really feel like that is what really tipped me over the edge in regards to wanting to get fully back into the business. So I would definitely say Ethan Page. A few more individuals that I've managed over the years that definitely are at the top of the list. I had the pleasure on one of Bobby Fulton's shows in Chillicothe, Ohio, to manage Haku and the Barbarian, the Faces of Fear. What an absolute joy. What a pleasure to work with two all-time greats and legends, two individuals, even though perhaps a little older at this point, still dangerous, immensely strong individuals that I would not want to cross. I also managed a tag team called The Crown. Leonis and Maximus, two individuals that looked like they were carved from granite, from stone. Amazing physiques. They were located in the Ohio area for some time. I was able to manage them for a handful of months, and then they ended up relocating to Florida. I actually just had contact with them recently, so perhaps somewhere down the road I will have an opportunity to work with them again. As far as anyone else that comes to mind that I really enjoyed managing, of course, Maurice the Strong, my strong man. We had a good long run together in regards to being able to work different places, including Memphis wrestling. But amongst every talent that I've ever worked with, still to this day, head and shoulders above the rest, there is no other act that I have enjoyed working with more than Jacksyn and Abel the Outbreak. They are so vastly different from everyone else. They are such a unique entity all their own. There is literally no one else on the planet that resembles them, that works like them, and our chemistry as we work together, show after show after show, I've never experienced anything like it. Behind the scenes, the real life gentlemen are amazing human beings. But when the cameras are on, the lights are on, and the crowd is on fire, nothing can stop the outbreak.
Speaking of Ethan Page, what do you think about him now over the years?
I am very happy for him now that he has finally made it to WWE. I am waiting for him to finally make it to the main roster. I don't really know what the hesitation is about bringing him up because he's ready. He's been ready. And but he's killing it in NXT. I know he's spending time in AAA. He's getting to work with another personal favorite of mine, Chelsea Green. So I am extremely happy for Ethan Page. There's a lot about AEW that I like, but Ethan Page's run in AEW was kind of lackluster. I think he more than likely should have achieved more there. But I believe in WWE, he has a fair opportunity. But again, I'm just waiting for them to finally pull the trigger and bring him up to the main roster, because then I think you will really see what he is truly capable of.
If you could change anything about pro wrestling, what would you change?
I would want to bring back more strict adherence to kayfabe, because I feel like, unfortunately, too many fans are privy to what happens behind the scenes. And I feel like it's taken away a lot of the magic of the business. It's very hard to be surprised anymore. It's very hard to be shocked anymore. It's very hard to enjoy the unexpected anymore because it's not unexpected. We all find out about it weeks before it happens. Before Powerhouse Hobbs debuted at the Royal Rumble, we already saw online that he was coming, and we already knew what his new gimmick name was going to be. So it's just stuff like that. It's just sad because there's only so many times we have an opportunity to really shock the fans or to catch them off guard or to do something unique and interesting with them and to give them that experience. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Nacho Man, that's what we all do. That's our whole point of being, is to entertain our fans, to create moments and memories that will last, hopefully, a lifetime. It's the interpersonal experiences that we create between us and between our paying customers, our fans. That's the whole point of the business. Our job is to help suspend disbelief, and it is to help our fans escape for 2 or 3 hours. The world is a hard, cold, cruel place. And now more than ever, it is volatile and it is very ugly. And in pro wrestling, we provide that escape. So you can leave your troubles and worries at the door, and you can come in and you can cheer the good guy and you can boo the bad guy and you can let it all out. And it is so cathartic and therapeutic to just be and enjoy. And the more immersive that we can all be in our roles, and this is something I stand behind wholeheartedly, is yours truly, Barnabas the Bizarre, and the Outbreak. We are the most all-immersive act in professional wrestling today. You will never see Jacksyn and Abel out of character. Every time they go to the ring, they come back from the ring, anything involving a wrestling event, they are full bore in Outbreak mode. They don't crack, they don't falter, they don't waver. They are 1,000% straightforward. They are fully committed to their craft, as is Barnabas the Bizarre, as are a lot of our JCW faithful. But if I could change one thing, it would be to bring back more of an adherence to kayfabe, protecting the business more, not for some secrecy, but to help enhance the customer and the fan experience. Because at the end of the day, Nacho Man, if it's not for the fans, none of us would be here.
What else do you enjoy besides pro wrestling?
So I love, as you can see from my background, I am a big movie buff. I enjoy art, and I'm also a huge music fan. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I enjoy the absolute most is experiencing live music. There's something about that there's really nothing that takes its place. And it's something that I prioritize. I try to go and experience live music at least a few times every month. With my schedule, sometimes it can be more difficult. But that's another huge bonus with being on the road with Juggalo Championship Wrestling is a lot of times we're the opening act for live music, whether it be the Insane Clown Posse or Ouija Mac, or recently we got to work shows with Green Jello. And like it's this whole, different side of the carnival lifestyle. We're all carnies at the heart of it, my friend. Just some of us are more honest about it. But we are all like-minded, whether it be musicians, whether it be pro wrestlers, whether it be stand-up comedians. Shout out to our homie Zach Amico. Love you, Zach. We all share a common bond. We're all cut from the same cloth. We're all a part of the island of misfit toys, and we all feel way more at home when we're together. But experiencing live music, there's really nothing like it, and it's something that I crave and enjoy. I also sometimes will hit up conventions. I love going to the Oddities conventions. I had the unique opportunity to be a part of the World Oddities Expo when it came through Cincinnati, Ohio a few weeks back with my good friends P3W, which is the only sanctioned thumb wrestling organization. Look it up. It's probably content for your video series, my friend. It's definitely a little bit out there, but a whole lot of fun.
I never heard of that show before. I need to look that up too. So, do you have any more cool wrestling stories or?
Oh, let's see. So, one I can share with you is, again, working for Bobby Fulton's promotion, World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling. Huge main event marquee match that I was very blessed to be part of. Barnabas managing Eric Rowan from the Wyatt Six versus Jerry the King Lawler. And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I have been a huge fan and student of the Memphis wrestling territory for years. I used to get VHS tapes back in the day specifically of that territory, and I would watch all the different talents from Lawler to Bill Dundee, Joe LeDuc, Randy Savage, the Rock and Roll Express, all these different characters that came through the Memphis territory. I absolutely loved it. So to be in a match managing a monster heel, because Eric Rowan is a giant man, Eric Redbeard at the time, to work against Lawler was unbelievable. The day of the show, again, I'm only supposed to manage. So Bobby Fulton's son Dylan is going to be in the corner now of Jerry Lawler. Because in a lot of the shows, I would be the heel manager, he would be a more face manager. Somewhere along the way, the match got turned into a tag team match. And not only am I managing against Jerry Lawler, now I'm actually in the ring with Jerry Lawler, which still to this day, I can't believe. Now, I know many people out there are used to seeing Jerry just do the commentary, and that's what they think of him. But longtime fans realize that Jerry Lawler, for years and years and years, dominated the Memphis wrestling scene. He was, for all intents and purposes, the Hulk Hogan of Memphis wrestling. So to be in the ring with him, to get punched in the mouth by him, to take a stunner from him, is absolutely mind-blowing. So that stands still to this day as one of the absolute highlights of my professional wrestling career. But another big moment, more recently, is the first time that the Outbreak stepped into the ring for the JCW Tag Team titles versus the Brothers of Construction. It happened at a show in Detroit, Michigan. It was a GCW versus JCW event, and I believe it happened around May of 2025. It was the first big opportunity that we had to show that we could dance with the big dogs, that we could hang in there with the best of the best, because make no mistake, even though they have their antics and they have fun, the Brothers of Construction, Yabo and Ruffo, are easily one of the most fundamentally sound, one of the smartest tenured veteran tag teams anywhere in the business today, period. So to be able to share a ring with them and to look convincing and to almost get to a point where we captured those tag team titles, that was a monumental moment for us in the modern landscape of JCW Lunacy. So those are a few things that I can share with you at the present time. There are a lot more, but some of them I just can't tell to the viewing public.
What's the biggest misconception of Barnabas?
The biggest misconception of Barnabas is people think that it's all just an act. They think that this is a gimmick, and that's literally all there is. They think that I'm a one-dimensional gimmick, and that's all I have to offer. And sadly, there are people that feel the same way or have said the same things about the Outbreak, that they feel like it's just a gimmick. But the truth, nothing could be further from the truth. Because as I've stated throughout the course of our conversation this evening, my friend, so much of this is truly me, dialed way up. The interests that I have, the things that I enjoy, the life experiences that I bring to the table of professional wrestling, it all is here. I have always been a showman. I have always been a presenter. I'm always the one that helps on other individuals, that helps to manage other individuals. I am one of the few still remaining managerial minds that has a hand in legitimately managing the careers of my talent. It's always something that I respected about Paul Ellering, was the fact that in many ways he was a shoot manager for the Road Warriors. To an extent, Jim Cornette was somewhat of a shoot manager for the Midnight Express. Modern day, I'm not saying I take care of everything, but I do take care of a lot of the business of the Outbreak. And I'm proud of that. And I've worked very hard to make sure that that takes place. We have events coming up, not only with JCW, but we also have some upcoming events where we will be working with GCW in March. And these are events that I lobbied for to try to help expand our audience, to get to more eyes, to get to more viewers, to make more people aware of exactly what we're doing, with the blessing of Violent J, with the blessing of JCW, because that's the way to do good business. But the biggest misconception is that this is just a character, that I'm just putting on an outfit and that's all there is to it. And again, same applies for Jacksyn and Abel. If you think that it's only a zombie gimmick, watch them. Anyone that watches them and gives them a real opportunity can see that what they do is unlike anything else in the professional wrestling landscape today, past, present, or future. And for Barnabas, what I bring to the table, it is me. You see, I feel more myself, more my genuine self as Barnabas the Bizarre than I do trying to make my way through the doldrum, ho-hum, black and white regular world. Because that's where the real carnies, the real villains, the real snakes reside. And in our world of make-believe and pro wrestling, this colorful, larger-than-life character feels right at home.
I forgot to ask you, what do you think about GCW and Brett Lauderdale?
So GCW and Brett, you're talking about an individual that is self-made. So much of GCW's success is the result of Brett's tireless hard work. As much as I love Violent J, and as much as Violent J has done wonders for myself in the Outbreak, and just to say this publicly, we would not be here if it wasn't for Violent J. He saw something in us that, quite frankly, nobody else did. And I love and appreciate that eccentric man to no end. I will always be grateful and appreciative for the opportunities he's provided. He very much is the reason why JCW is such a fun place to work, because it starts at the top, the leadership, and then everything trickles down. And Jay is such an amazing human being and leader. That's the reason why we're being successful. When it comes to GCW, their success is solidly on the back of Brett Lauderdale, because he's worked tirelessly to expand the brand. Look at their touring schedule, Nacho Man. Look at the places that they go. They literally have been all around the globe. And that's because of Brett just being relentless about wanting to expand that brand and to get it into new markets and new territories, new states, new countries. So, and GCW, still to this day, and it's been this way for a number of years now, it's the promotion that has buzz. Do I enjoy everything that they do? I don't, because I'm not a big deathmatch guy. But at the same time, as we were talking about earlier, just like in music, different genres, sub-genres of genres, there are rabid fans of deathmatch wrestling. We do deathmatch wrestling from time to time at JCW. So more power to the individuals that are willing to participate in that. If that's their art form, that's fantastic. But GCW obviously is more than just that. They also present some fantastic pro wrestling. And when we arrive and work some events for them in March, we will show their audience exactly what Jacksyn and Abel are truly capable of. Because truth be told, we've only shown just a little bit of what the Outbreak can do. It's probably about time that we expand that and show them just a little bit more.
Do you have any advice you want to give to the younger generation? It could be about life or pro wrestling or anything.
Ooh. So if there's anyone watching that wants to become a professional wrestling manager, the main thing that I always tell everyone is get yourself properly trained. Even if you're not looking to be a pro wrestler, you still need to be trained. And the reasons why you need to be trained are as follows. You need to be safe in the ring and who you are working with. You need to understand ring psychology and how a match is put together. You also, when you're sitting around with your clientele and they're talking through matches, you can either be a manager that waits for his clientele to tell him or her what they're going to do in the match, or you can earn respect by actually being properly trained and get to a point where you can actually fully participate in the creation of a match or segment. One of the biggest parts and reasons why being properly trained is important is to earn the respect of your peers. If you just walk in off the street and you have done jack squat when it comes to paying dues or putting any real time in a wrestling ring, and you're getting valuable TV time or mic time, you are going to draw a massive amount of heat from individuals that have worked their behinds off for years and are not getting that kind of TV time. So to garner a level of respect and credibility, please get yourself trained. The other thing that I will say is, no matter if you are young or old, never give up on your dreams. Admittedly, Macho Man, I am not a young man. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I am not a spring chicken. And for me to be doing what I'm doing at this point in my life is really pretty crazy. But I am loving every second of it. And the only reason why it's happening right now is because I didn't give up on myself and I didn't give up on my dreams. I almost did a number of times, but there was always something in me that just wouldn't let me stop. That and the support of family and friends and fans that's kept me going all these years and has pushed me to continue on. But never give up on your dreams. And if you're older, it doesn't mean that you're done. It's not necessarily a death sentence. There's still a whole lot you can still accomplish out there. But don't let society and the world dictate what's good or bad, what's acceptable or not acceptable. You get to do this life one time. If you believe in reincarnation, that's a whole separate conversation for another day. But my belief is we do this one time. We go around one opportunity. So why not give it your all? Why not do what you really want to do? Why be a square peg in a round hole. Why be like everybody else and be miserable? Why not actually take control and take life into your hands and do what you truly want to do? Because I'm telling you right now, ladies and germs, that's the only reason why I'm here right now. It's because I never gave up on my dreams. And this is a manifestation of a lifetime of hopes, dreams, of wanting to do this. And now here I am. And I am absolutely blessed to have this position.
That's some awesome advice. Do you have any last words you want to say for the video?
So, Nacho Man, you have gone well out of your way to spotlight Juggalo Championship Wrestling, but specifically, you have gone out of your way to spotlight Barnabas the Bizarre and Jacksyn and Abel, the Outbreak. We had the pleasure of meeting you in Illinois in 2025. I am very hopeful, my friend, that we will cross paths again in 2026. I want to let you know that I am and continue to be a huge fan of your content. The fact that you spotlight sometimes lesser known acts, that you celebrate the unique characters of wrestling history. The unique thing about your presentation, my friend, is that you don't mock, you present, and you celebrate. And I absolutely tip my hat to you for that. And the fact that you have taken the time to have this conversation with me this evening means the world. So thank you for your continued support. And for everyone out there, please continue to support and follow Nacho Man. If you want to follow and support Barnabas the Bizarre and the Outbreak, ProWrestlingTees.com, the Outbreak JCW, get your official merch. Also, make sure to watch JCW Lunacy every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Psychopathic Records YouTube channel. Follow us on the socials. Outbreak Jacksyn, Outbreak Abel, Barnabas the Bizarre, and the Outbreak JCW. We're all over the place. But at the end of the day, we appreciate the fact that we are able to entertain, and we continue to hope that we can take away your troubles for a few hours when you come out to a show. We hope we can make you smile, have fun, give you some unique memories and moments. And the rare times that we actually do meet and greets, please come up and say hello. Even if you don't have any money in your pocket, we still like to meet our fans firsthand because, again, you are the reason why we do this.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Nacho Man.
Damn, that's crazy. But anyways, if you liked the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, if you want to join my Discord server, link in description. Nacho Man out.